welcome. Today I'll be teaching you how to do a cute summer crochet top using granny square. So grab some medium weight yarn in 3 colors, a 4mm hook or a 4.5mm hook, you can use either, and a pair of scissors. Let's get started. So we're going to start with our magic circle. I'm going to chain up 3. We're then going to put 11 double crochets in that magic circle. So when you're finished, you should have 12 stitches in total. The 11 double crochets and that chain of 3. So once we have all our stitches, we are going to tighten that circle by pulling on that string, and we're going to do a slip stitch into the top chain of our chain of 3. We're going to do another slip stitch just to tighten it so it doesn't unravel. So we've done our circle. Let's move on to the flower petals. I'm switching colors. I'm going to be using white, and I'm working my cluster 3 into the spaces between the double crochets, not the stitches. So we are going to chain up 3. Let's start with a slip stitch first, and we're going to do 2 more chains. Alright, before we start doing our double crochet clusters, I just want to put these strings together and just kind of twirl them around each other a bit. I am attempting to hide them so I don't have much work to do when I'm finished. So I'm just putting it in line with the top of the stitches, and we're going to go over and under it and just try to conceal it. Alright, so we're going to yarn over, put our hook through the space, grab the yarn and the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, you yarn over again, push your hook through the space, grab some wool on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to pull through all the loops left on the hook. We're going to chain 2, yarn over, put our hook through the second space, wrap that yarn on the hook, pull through, yarn over, pull through. We're going to repeat that 2 more times until we have 4 loops on the hook. We're going to pull through all 4 loops and chain 2. So basically we're repeating the steps until we have come full circle. We should have we should have 12 clusters when we are finished. So just keep in mind that whenever we are pushing our hook into the spaces, we are going under our little twirl of threads, right? So we're basically hiding them into the cluster of double crochet stitches. So I hope you get this part. Alright, so we're going to close off the circle by pushing our hook into the middle of the first cluster. Just dead smack in the middle. I don't like to put it into the top of the chain of 3. I like to put it in the middle. So we're going to do that, make a slip stitch, do another slip stitch to secure it, and then we are gonna snip snip. And we're moving on to make our granny square. Again, we're working in the space between the clusters. We are going to do a slip stitch first and foremost, and then we are going to do 3 half double crochets in that space. That's 1, and over 2, that's 2, and that's 3. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing into the following space. So we're going to put 3 half double crochets into the next space. Okay, so in the third space, we are going to do 3 double crochets. We're switching it up. We're doing 3 double crochets. Then we're going to chain 2. I'm going to do 3 more double crochets. So we're making the corners of the square. Alright, so we're going to repeat this step again, starting with the half double crochet. We're going to do 3 half double crochets into the following space. Another 3 half double crochets into the next space. And we're going to move into our 3 double crochets into the next space, followed by 2 chains and 3 more double crochets. We're repeating this until we have come full circle. We should have 4 corners of the double crochet, chain 2 double crochet, because you're making a square. Right. Alright, so this is our first square. We are making the band first, and then we make the cups after. So I'm going to tell you how many squares you should have for each size for the band, that is. I'm doing a medium. I have 7 squares. I'm going to start joining them. The stitch I'll be using to join is a single crochet. So I'm going to put 2 squares together, right side facing each other, and I'm going to start into the first chain of 2 in the corner. I'm aware that you can, put the hook in the space and just do 1 single crochet. You can do that if you want to, but I'm kind of a neat freak. I don't really like to see that, so I do my single crochet in each chain. So I do it in the first chain, the second chain. I do it in every nook and cranny. I don't want I don't want to see anything left out. That's how I am, but you're free to join it anywhere you want to. So I'm just make sure that the holes are lined up, so when I push my hook, it goes out in the corresponding stitch on the other side. So just ensure that's all good and do your stitches all the way across. I'm finished joining those two. I'm going to take another square, place it right side facing each other, and repeat. So this is a process I'm going to repeat until all the granny squares are joined. It should make one straight band right across. So I've stitched all my squares together and I have formed my band. What I'm going to do now is do a single crochet border all the way around the band. I want everything to be just on one level. So I'm going to start in the corner, the first double crochet stitch. You can start anywhere really, but this is where I'm going to start. I'm just going to make a slip stitch and then I'm gonna do a single crochet in that stitch. I'm gonna keep putting single crochets in each stitch my bad, going all the way across. So here's the thing with me. I like to put single crochets even in the joint. So I put it in the space, in the stitch where there's space in, then I kind of like wiggle my way into the joint. That's just my preference. You don't have to do it that way, but I find that it looks neater when you do a single crochet in the joint. It's a bit of work, but it's worth it. Alright, so as we're making our way down to the corner, we are going to put 3 single crochet stitches in that corner space to like form the little bend, if you know what I'm talking about. So we put 3 single crochet stitches in that corner space to form the bend of the square or whatever you want to call it, but let's just call it a bend. We're going to repeat the same step with this other corner here coming up. We're going to put 3 single crochet stitches right in that space, and then we're going to move on and continue putting single crochets in every stitch going along. We'll finish with our single crochet border. We're going to place our band aside for a minute and move on to our bra cups. So it's the same step 1, step 2, the middle of the circle, and then the flower petal. Once you have done that again, you're going to move on with me. So you're going to create the triangles for the bra cup. Alright, so we're doing step 3 again with a little twist. We are going to do a slip stitch in the space, followed by 3 half double crochets in that same space. We're going to do 3 more half double crochets into the next space, and instead of doing our double crochet corner, we're going to do another 3 half double crochet into the third space. Now we're going to move on to our corner. So we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets in that same space. We're going to repeat the step again, 3 half double crochets in one space, 3 half double crochets into the following space, 3 more half double crochets into the following space, and then we're going to do our corners again, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets. We're going to repeat this one more time, 3 spaces filled with 3 half double crochets, and then we'll branch off into a corner. So the difference between the square and the triangle is that instead of doing 2 half double crochets for the square, we do 3 for the triangle. Why? The triangle has less sides. Instead of 4 sides, it has 3 sides. So we have to like drop in another half double crochet in the space to achieve the 3 sides. Alright, so each bar cup size requires a certain amount of rows. I'm going to attach a little memo so you can see how many rows you should do for whatever bar cup size you're going to make. I will be making a B, C cup, so I'll be doing 3 rows. Let's move on to a second row. I'm going to do a slip stitch in each stitch until I've gotten to my first space, because we're going to be working in spaces. Once I get to the space, I will chain up 3 and do 2 double crochets in that same space. Alright, I'm going to move on to the next space. I'm going to do a double crochet in that space followed by 2 more, so I'm doing 3 double crochets into the following space. I'm going to do 3 more double crochets into the following space, and then I'm going to move on to the corner space. I'm going to do 3 double crochets, then I'm going to chain 2 and do 3 more double crochets in that same corner space. I'm going to move on to the next space and do 3 double crochets. Move on to the next space, do 3 more double crochets. I'm going to keep repeating this step until we have come back to the start. So remember to always fill your corner spaces with 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets to keep the shape of the triangle. So from row 2 and onwards, we are only using double crochet. We're not going to be working with half double crochets anymore. The half double crochets basically help us to form the shape of the triangle, even the square. So once we have achieved the shape, we can go on using the double crochet. There would be no more use for the half double crochet. I hope you understand this explanation. Alright, so I've just finished my second row. This is where you'd stop if you were doing an A or a B cup double. I'm gonna move on to my third and last row. So basically I'm repeating the steps. I'm filling each space with 3 double crochets and maintaining the corner spaces with the 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Alright, so that's a wrap. I'm doing my slip stitch into the top chain of the chain of 3, doing another slip stitch to secure it, and then I'm gonna snip it off with my scissors. And that's one bra cup completed. I'm gonna repeat the same step with the other floor, and then we'll move on to attaching the bra cups to the band. Okay, let's attach our bar cups to the band. So we're gonna place the 2 ends of the bra band together. Just make sure everything is equal, and we are going to pin down our middle stitch. So wherever that middle stitch lands, you're going to mark it. I'm going to take my hairpin and mark it. That is my marker. And what I'm going to do, I am going to start joining my bra cups into the stitch right beside the middle stitch. It's not the exact middle stitch, it's the stitch beside it. I'm gonna put my hook into the first stitch in the corner of my bra band. I'm just gonna start attaching. As I said, I like to attach every stitch to stitch. I don't like to attach a stitch to a space, but if you want to, you can. So I'm just filling up all my stitches. I'm filling up the stitches in the corner of the triangle instead of filling the spaces. But if you want to fill the space, just do one single crochet in the space and call it a day. You can do that. So the stitch I'm going to be using to join the band to the cups is the single crochet. So I'm just making sure that every stitch is in line when I push my hook through, so it looks nice and neat and all that goodness. When you've gotten to the end of joining your first cup, remember to do a slip stitch to fasten your work so it doesn't unravel. And when you cut it, you can also weave in the ends for added protection and a neater look, because you don't want your strings sticking out. You want to hide them as much as possible. So we're going to repeat the same step with the other bra cup. We're going to line it up with the stitch beside that middle stitch, and then start our joining. We're going to work our way all across with a single crochet. I mean, you have a choice of using single crochet or a slip stitch to join your bra band and your bra cup, but I think the single crochet stitch looks way neater than using a slip stitch. But if that is your preference, feel free. If you have gotten to this point in the video, I applaud you, honey. You're doing real good, real good. So we have two more steps and then we're all done. We're gonna do a scalloped border. I'm gonna put my hook into the middle single crochet stitch into a corner space. I'm gonna do a slip stitch followed by a single crochet in that same stitch. So let's get started on the pattern. The pattern is single crochet, one stitch, 2 half double crochets in the following stitch, single crochet in the following stitch, slip stitch, slip stitch, slip stitch. That's 3 slip stitch. We're going to repeat this pattern again. Single crochet, 1 stitch, 2 half double crochets in the following stitch, another single crochet in the following stitch, then slip stitch, 1 stitch, slip stitch, 1 stitch, slip stitch, 1 stitch. Let's do it again. single crochet in one stitch, 2 half double crochets in the following stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, slip stitch, slip stitch, slip stitch. So we will be repeating this pattern all the way across our band until we get to the corners. Ooh, so far so good. Let's make our way into the corner where we will be putting 3 single crochets into the center stitch that we did into the corner space. We did 3 single crochets into the corner space, so we're going to put 3 single crochets in that center stitch to just kind of maintain that sharp edge. After we do that, we're going to put a single crochet in each stitch along the side of the band. Why? Because we're going to be putting our loops there so we can lace up our top. We don't want to put the scallop design there. We just want it to be straight as ever. You're going to make our way across and repeat the same 3 single crochet stitch into that center stitch to maintain the corner shape. We'll be starting our pattern, our scallop pattern again. Single crochet, 2 half double crochet, single crochet, 3 slip stitch, and we're going to do this all the way up to the peak of the bra cup. You know that there's a corner space there, so you know the rule is to put 3 single crochets in that corner space, and then just continue with the pattern all the way up to the next peak of the bra cup, where we will put 3 single crochets again, and then repeat the pattern all the way down to the corner at the other side. So yeah, it's just a repetition at this point. The same way we did the side of the band, it's the same way we will do the other side, and that should lead us back to where we first started, our first stitch. And you know, when you get to the first stitch, we're gonna do a slip stitch and another slip stitch to fasten it off. After you have done that, we will move on to our loops, because we do have to make some loops to run our strings through so we can lace that top up. Loop time. Do you remember the 3 single crochets that we did for the corner? We're going to put our hook into the 3rd single crochet stitch, do a slip stitch, and we're going to chain up 3. We're going to count 3 stitches, 1 2 3, and place a single crochet stitch into the 3rd stitch. We're going to do 1 more single crochet stitch into the following stitch. We're going to chain up 3 again, repeat that step, count 3, do a single crochet into the 3rd stitch, followed by another single crochet into the following stitch. Repeat the step, chain up 3, single crochet into the 3rd and 4th stitch. And for the last loop, we'll chain up 3 and do a slip stitch into the 3rd stitch. and we're going to fasten it off with another slip stitch. So there's really no set way to create your loop. You're free to freestyle it and do as much loops or as little loops as you like. It's really up to you. So you don't have to follow my instructions to the T, as there's no set way to do it. Right? So repeat that step on the other side, and let's do the strings. For the strings, I like to double my thread. I want my strings to be a bit thick, so I get about 2 rolls of my medium worsted yarn and just put them together. I use a 5mm hook. I find the middle stitch of the 3 stitches that we did in the space, and then I chain up 150. It can be longer or shorter, it's up to you, but my chains are that long because I just like to have, one chain on each side running through the back laces. So I don't have a chain that ties around the neck or a chain that ties around the back. I just have 2 chains going across the shoulder, the cross in the back, and then they just lace up. Okay, so remember to knot your strings and cut off the excess thread so it looks as neat as possible. Repeat the step on the same side, and then voila! You have a cute summery top, honey. And look at the inside. When you hide the strings by crocheting over them, there's less work to clean up after. Thanks for tuning in, loves.